Okay, so in that last Arcanist video I did for the Grim Dawn skill overview video guides, I did all the other toggle passives and passives, and I skipped over Iskandra's Elemental Exchange just because I forgot it. So this video is going to round out the Arcanist, and we'll go over Iskandra's Elemental Exchange. So the text. Iskandra taught her students the most efficient path of victory was to turn an opponent's own energies against them. Just so, Elemental Exchange causes the weapons of allies to hungrily absorb arcane energy from foes and return it in the form of elemental damage. This ability must be toggled to maintain its effect. The damage conversion only applies to the caster. So Iskandra's Elemental Exchange is a toggle passive. It's an aura. So the flat elemental damage, the energy leech per second, and the energy regen apply to your allies. The physical damage converted to elemental damage applies to you. Now, this isn't actually leeching energy to give you power. That's the flavor of Elemental Exchange. You get the elemental damage no matter what, and you get the energy leech no matter what. But, I mean, flavor-wise, that's supposed to be what's happening, is you're hitting enemies to take their energy and you get the elemental power. Yeah, it's a pretty simple thing to understand. You turn it on, you get a chunk of elemental damage, energy leech, and energy regen. Now, I recommend using Elemental Exchange, the first part here, for either a build that enters melee heavily, a build that is converting to an elemental damage, or if you really, really need energy regen. Or a combination of those three. For the melee build, you'll get a lot of damage out of this. And if you're going in the Arcanist, if you're using an ability like Kalidor's Tempest, or something from like the demo like Fire Strike, using Elemental Exchange can give you just more raw damage with those attacks. It'll also add in, you know, whatever damage you may be missing from the Elemental Trio. So if you're using Fire Strike and it's fire you're building, you'll still get the lightning damage and cold damage worked in there. Now, if you're doing something like Albrecht's Aether Ray, like this guy is, I highly recommend Iskandra's Elemental Exchange be maxed out because you'll counter the cost of Albrecht's Aether Ray with the huge amount of energy regen you can get from this ability, especially when you get it into ultimate ranks. If you get it to 22 out of 12, you get 100% energy regen, which is really great to counter the cost of Albrecht's Aether Ray. Now, Elemental Exchange has a transmuter and two modifiers. First modifier is Overload. The incantation becomes overloaded with arcane forces, causing your weapons to crackle with the raw powers of the elements. So this one I do get questions occasionally on, because it says chance of one of the following, and it gives you some burn, frostburn, and electrocute damages. As far as I know, it's a 33% chance of one of the three to happen on each, like, tick you'd have, or like hit your landing, while Iskandra's Elemental Exchange is active, and you're dealing and you have something that's dealing weapon damage. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it is you're getting one of the three with every hit. But I mean, you'll get all three, you know, eventually as you use the ability. And then you also get percent elemental damage, and this percent elemental damage it applies to you. It doesn't just apply to the elemental damage on the main ability. This is whatever percent you have elemental damage, just to you, period. So Overload, you generally are going to invest in this for that. If you're in an elemental heavy build and you just want more elemental damage out of whatever your abilities are, like Panetti's or something like that, you're going to invest in Overload, should you choose to invest in it. I generally leave it as a 1-point wonder. About my plus skills. Build it up beyond that. And then the second modifier is Elemental Balance. Strike a finely tuned balance within your incantation, harmonizing the opposing forces of fire and ice with wild electricity. This gives you bonus crit damage, and then percent burn, frostburn, and electrocute damages. This is your mastery ability, I guess, for the burns, the elemental burns. And it also gives you crit damage. I would actually recommend, if you're gonna level up either of the two modifiers, to level this one up over Overload because of that crit damage. Because once you get your offensive ability high enough and you start getting a lot of crits, getting more crit damage is huge. But I'd also recommend running it as a 1-point wonder. Just getting these in there to get the little bonuses to the damage types and this extra crit damage is good enough. But my recommendation is, if you need the elemental exchange itself built up, then build it up, for one of the reasons I mentioned. If you're going for, if you just want, I should say, a lot of elemental damage, then go for Overload. And if you just want more damage on your abilities, then go for Elemental Balance. And I'd probably recommend Elemental Balance a little more over Overload. Now, its lone transmuter is Manifestation. Arcane energies manifest in many forms. Arcanas who delve into the art of summoning often transfer their mastery of the arcane to their loyal minions, and that they can better serve the will of their masters. This effect extends to your allies. All this does is convert pet physical damage to elemental damage. Manifestation is wildly useless. I don't know any build right now that would actively want Manifestation. I'm not even joking. Like, I can't... Like, okay, let's say you're building a druid and you want to have the Briarthorn. The Briarthorn deals physical damage predominantly. I don't exactly know why you'd want to convert that physical damage to elemental damage. Because, yeah, you're going to have elemental exchange affect your pets, but... Like... Why? I just don't know why you would want to weaken down the Briarthorn, because I do think converting its physical damage would weaken it down to just give it elemental damage. Likewise, I don't exactly remember the damage types the Hellhound has. That might be worth doing, because I know it does, I think it does physical fire chaos. So that might be worth converting the physical to more elemental, but again, it feels more like you're weakening down the pet in order to get elemental damage on it. And it's like, it's a very, like, I can't think of the build that would actually use Manifestation. And I honestly think Manifestation needs to be reworked or just taken out and exchanged for something else. I just don't see any real value in, and on top of it, it's like, not only do you have to invest points to get this weird effect, to get the full effect, you have to invest 3 whole points. So, those 3 points, you could spend them on something better, like a Hellhound ability or Briarthorn ability, to make the pet itself stronger, just with those points. So yeah, I don't think Manifestation's worth it at all, but Iskandra's Elemental Exchange is definitely worth the points, and we can actually go and, real quick, I mean, the reason he has it is he gets 88% energy regen. So his energy regen goes from, 180, and if we turn Iskandra's on, it jumps up to 286, which definitely helps with his mitigation of the cost of Albrecht's Aether Ray, and that's the effect on the character. There's no footage really for this, because it's toggle passive and an aura. So it's just a blue effect on your hand, and it looks pretty cool when you're dual wielding because you get it on both weapons. Now Devotion, I mean, it's elemental. It's not really something you say synergizes with Devotion. I would say something like Blizzard stands out because it deals weapon damage, so you'd actually get that elemental damage in there. I don't think Meteor Shower deals weapon damage, no. Really, it's not something you say, oh, these are the devotions that cross with it a lot. It's elemental. You're working it into a build that's dealing elemental damage, or if you're trying to mitigate, like I said, Albrecht's Aether Ray. Or just 1 point wondering all 3 of them, because that is something you can do. You can easily just put 1 point in all 3 to get their bonuses and let your plus skills build them up. I mean, you can see I get, I have this up to 8 and this up to 5 with just my skills. So, I mean, not much more to say about Iskandra's Elemental Exchange. It's a great toggle passive. It's a great aura. I recommend just taking 3 points and making it all 1-pointers. You'll get a nice little slew of bonuses out of it. And you can level up whichever one you need the most. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.